Good morning. My name is Kiri Fagan-Olmschneider, and my pronouns are she, hers. I'm happy to serve as the worship associate this morning and to call us to worship by lighting our chalice with these words by Rumi, translated by Coleman Banks. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. And now rise in body or spirit for our opening song, number 83, Winds Be Still.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. We are a people of many ages, histories, genders, bodies, identities, and beliefs who are connected by a shared commitment to our mission to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. My name is Elissa Blake, and I am an exceptionally sleepy person in her late 20s. A rare book cataloger, resident wordsmith, and reader of Greek, and I am honored to be leading worship today. Please look around at the color-coded lanyards of your neighbors and be aware and respectful of others' needs and boundaries. We are a congregation of all ages, which means we embrace all the noises and little interruptions our kids can bring into a Sunday morning. As always, people of any age are invited to grab a coloring packet from the box just outside the sanctuary doors if you want to keep your hands busy. And if you need more space to stretch, wiggle around, or use the restroom, you can go at any time across the entryway into Fellowship Hall, where the service is being live streamed. Our children's REE program is on hiatus for the summer, but the adult show and tell program begins today. Kids 5 and up and their adult friends are welcome to go learn about bugs with Sam Bashirs in the 1 to 3 classroom after the Time for All Ages. and the nursery is available for little ones 5 and younger. If you are a visitor today, we bid you a special welcome and invite you to complete a visitor's card so that we may stay connected. And if you're joining us via our live stream, feel free to say hello in the YouTube chat and know that you too are welcome this morning. And now I invite you to bid each other welcome by turning to a neighbor or writing in the chat to say hello. I'll ring the chime to begin and end our time of communal welcome. Thank you for those lively greetings. This is the first time I've gotten to stand up here and watch the greetings from this perspective. Chatting is one way of connecting with each other. Now I am going to invite you to experiment with another means of connection. Are you ready for another root-themed activity? My associate, Julia, is about to start passing around balls of yarn. I invite you each to take hold of the strand and pass it on, unfurling as you go, back and forth across each row. We'll cross up here at the front to avoid risk of tripping and go back down, and we'll use another ball for the back of the sanctuary, just for safety's sake. But I want you to imagine that it's all one continuous strand. While that is being passed around, I will provide some context. A Wind in the Door is one of my favorite childhood books, a sequel to Madeleine L'Engle's best-known book, A Wrinkle in Time. When the brilliant little brother Charles Wallace begins to be short of breath and rapidly losing energy, his sister Meg and the other protagonists embark on a journey into one of his mitochondria in order to save his life and restore balance to the universe. Mitochondria are real and responsible for supplying our cells with energy. L'Engle takes our imaginations a step further and describes microscopic inhabitants of our mitochondria called farandulae. To a farandula, a human being is as large as a galaxy. Such a creature is described as resembling a silver blue mouse, but more like a sea creature than a land creature, a sort of shrimp with large velvety ears, very long whiskers, and eyes like moonstones. When farandulae mature, they take root or deepen and become more plant-like, like underwater trees with silver gold-green foliage which undulates regularly, rhythmically, not as though the fronds are being blown by wind or current, but of their own volition, like the undulation of those strange sea creatures halfway between plant life and animal life. Although the deepened fara can no longer scamper about, they are not limited by time and place because of their ability to kythe with one another, with the stars, and with every atom of the universe. Kythe, K-Y-T-H-E, is a marvelous word coined by L'Engle, drawn from an old Scottish dictionary, sharing roots with kith and kin. In Scottish, it's defined as something like to show yourself in your own true guise, or to show yourself without any disguise or mask. In L'Engle's work, and in a book inspired by her use of the term called Kything, the Art of Spiritual Presence, kything can be described as a conscious act of spiritual presence, a choice to shift our awareness from the outward appearances that differentiate us to the deeper level on which we are all fundamentally interconnected. This interconnectedness is not imaginary. though our imaginations can help us to become more aware of it. In other words, we share this interconnectedness whether or not we are paying attention to it. And most of the time, most of us are not paying attention to it. It's like a radio frequency that's being drowned by all the static ego noise from both within and without. In order to tune in, the first step is to quiet ourselves. Is everyone holding on to part of the string now? Yes, okay. Oh, not quite? Oh. All right, I'll wait just a moment. All right, now, okay. All right, I invite you to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and come to rest in yourself. Take root in your own innermost core. Imagine, if you wish, that you are one of the deepened Fara, though your mind may feel more like a young Farandula still scampering about. If moved to do so, feel free to gently undulate. Use whatever images help you, but try not to overconceptualize or think too hard about this. Relax. Now become aware of the string you're holding. Play with the string's tension with your neighbors. Is there slack between you? Is one of you pulling more tightly, dragging the other off center? Can you feel the push and pull of everyone in your row, everyone in the room? While remaining deeply centered in your own being, picture your presence flowing through the string into the hands of your neighbors and onward, like information flowing through a network of mycorrhizal fungi connecting your roots with the roots of every tree in the forest. The string is only a prop for making concrete this reality, that at the deepest level, your being is my being. This practice is not limited by time or space. There are strings connecting us not only to all creatures living in the here and now, but to all those who have passed away and all who are yet to arrive. As I ring the singing bowl 3 times, allow your roots to deepen and the radiance of your presence to intensify. Now we will relinquish and rewind the string without relinquishing the interconnectedness it represents.
As we continue unwinding, we live our mission at this congregation in many ways. Building community means welcoming new members and also connecting day to day and week to week through opportunities both within and beyond our congregation. We invite you to subscribe to and read our weekly e-news to stay up to date on all of the activities offered through our REE program and our social action councils. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. One is that the Inquirers series, which is an ongoing series, is meeting today, and the topic will be faith development for all ages. That will be at 11:30 in the back of the sanctuary. Also, as was already said earlier, today is the first day of the Show and Tell series, and today Sam Bashirs is downstairs talking about insects, but that will have some other things going on over the summer, and there's a link in the e-news if you want to learn more about that. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing justice in the world. Our shared offering partner for June is the Greater Community AIDS Project of East Central Illinois, whose mission is to empower members of our community who are HIV positive and to eliminate the transmission of HIV through education and advocacy. You can give through Realm and via the online portal on our website, or if you are here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed. And checks can be made out to UUCUC, and in the memo put shared offering. Half of all non-pledged donations will go towards sustaining the work of this church, and the other half will go directly to our shared offering partner. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you, and know that whatever you give will be gratefully received. Each week, we practice spiritual generosity by making space for joys and sorrows we carry with us whenever we gather. We begin this practice with an embodied ritual of singing a blessing song, and today you'll be invited to come forward during that song and drop a stone for sorrow or a petal for joy into our shared bowls of water. You are invited to write down joys and sorrows on the cards you'll find in the pew racks, or submit them via email to joysandsorrows@uucuc.org if you'd like to share them shared aloud. We trust that this act of sharing lightens our burdens and increases our joys, even if for just this hour. I invite you to come forward if you are moved to do so as we sing, "May the Longtime Sun." Reverend Beth is now going to come up to share the joys and sorrows.
Thank you, Kiri. And I will say, if you're in the room and still have a card you would like to be shared aloud, you are welcome to bring that up or hand it to an usher. They'll bring those up to me. And of course, if you're online, I'm checking email as we speak. I'll start with some joys. This came in from Charles and Caitlin Walworth, who share they had a joy, fun-filled weekend in Milwaukee, yay, my home, so I'm a little jealous, where they spent the weekend sightseeing and they got to see Hosier. If you do not know who Hosier is, treat yourself and look him up on YouTube later. A joy also from Ellen DeWard, who became a U.S. citizen and is now registered to vote. Yay, Ellen, congratulations. That is exciting. I have some sorrows, of course, to share today. Gail Tittle shares that her brother Bob Camp died very unexpectedly last Sunday of a likely coronary event. He was the middle of Gail's two older brothers, and his wife died just 6 weeks before him. The family is devastated at the loss of this sweet man. Gail, we hold you in our hearts. A sorrow also from David and Claudia Gross. David shared with me this week that he officially has a diagnosis of, I want to make sure I get it right, leukemia. I apologize, you all, I am not a medical person. Leukemia cutis myeloid sarcoma. It's a serious condition, but David is, he said, ironically, feeling great at the moment, but he is going to be receiving treatment very soon. He is waiting for a bed to open up at the Barnes Hospital in St. Louis, where there are expert oncologists who specialize in this specific form of leukemia. He will most likely be hospitalized for several weeks, and Claudia will be going back and forth between Urbana and St. Louis. They ask us to hold them in their hearts, and they are grateful for the support they have already received and the support they know this community will continue to provide for them. Thank you. And happy summer solstice. This is from Beth Simpson. Everyone, despite the heavy news of the world, our planet really does keep turning. And the sun keeps shining and rising and setting, and for the longest day we can be grateful, even as several people have lifted up in their sorrows, both Angie Urban, Bonnie Jerkowski, and I'm sure many of you despair at the news that we are bombing Iran. And when we're not officially at war, these acts of war trouble us all. And as both Bonnie and Angie said, we pray for those most affected, for our folks in our military who will be dragged into this conflict, for the people around the world who are going to directly and indirectly die because of this. And that sorrow is one that I went to bed with and I woke up with. I was saying to Emily Lageson, I should not check the news just before I go to bed or just as I wake up. Probably meditation will be better in those moments, and yet here we are. But I did, as I saw that news this last night and this morning, encounter a prayer from a poet and minister named Micah Busey, whose work I have used in service before. And so I offer that to us this morning, for all the joys and sorrows, both the personal ones that we have named aloud, the personal ones you are carrying in your hearts, and these collective ones for all of us. And so this is a tiny prayer from Micah Busey, a tiny prayer for those learning about the U.S. attacks on Iran. May we not meet this news as passively pessimistic observers, but as energized witnesses, assured that every life is sacred and that empire-addicted attacks are never pathways to peace, but always failures of imagination. May all who are directly at risk of harm and hate be surrounded by safety. May our leaders either be visited by deep wisdom that edifies them or by deep resistance that replaces them. And may this fear-filled moment activate all of us to keep finding local ways to embody fierce love as we all work to make every small move toward collaboration tendril out to become global liberation. Amen. For whatever you are carrying this morning, for all that you are, when you come into this space, remember that you are loved, remember you are wholly welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Angie Urban, part of the worship committee. I'm going to read for you today an excerpt, or an essay, I should say, from What Are People For? By Wendell Berry. More and more, we take for granted that work must be destitute of pleasure. More and more, we assume that if we want to be pleased, we must wait until evening, or the weekend, or vacation, or retirement. More and more, our farms and forests resemble our factories and offices, which in turn, more and more, resemble prisons. Why else should we be so eager to escape them? We recognize defeated landscapes by the absence of pleasure from them. We are defeated at work because our work gives us no pleasure. We are defeated at home because we have no pleasant work there. We turn to the pleasure industries for relief from our defeat and are again defeated. For the pleasure industries can thrive and grow only upon our dissatisfaction with them. Where is our comfort but in the free, uninvolved, finally mysterious beauty and grace of this world that we did not make, that has no price? Where is our sanity but there? Where is our pleasure but in working and resting kindly in the presence of this world? And in this right sort of economy, our pleasure would not be merely an addition or byproduct or reward. It would be both an empowerment of our work and its indispensable measure. In order to have leisure and pleasure, we have mechanized and automated and computerized our work. But what does this do but divide us ever more from our work and our products, and in the process, from one another and the world? The nearly intolerable irony in our dissatisfaction is that we have removed pleasure from our work in order to remove drudgery from our lives. If I could pick any rule of industrial economics to receive a thorough re-examination by our people, it would be the one that says that all hard physical work is drudgery and not worth doing. There are, of course, many questions surrounding this issue. What is the work? In whose interest is it done? Where and in what circumstances is it done? How well and to what result is it done? In whose company is it done? How long does it last? And so forth. But this issue is personal and so needs to be re-examined by everybody. Ultimately, in the argument about work and how it should be done, one has only one's pleasure to offer. It is possible, as I have learned again and again, to be in one's place in such company, wild or domestic, and with such pleasure that one cannot think of another place that one would prefer to be, or of another place at all. One does not miss or regret the past, or fear or long for the future. Being there is simply all and is enough.
Thank you, Angie. Find my place here. All right. Good morning, everyone. Many of you expressed an interest the last time I went rogue and shared a passage from Simone Weil. So today I want to share from her work The Need for Roots and expand upon her ideas in the context of our present day. Born in 1909 to a secular Jewish family in Paris, Simone Weil is widely considered one of the greatest minds of the 20th century. An article by Christy Wampole entitled "Why Simone Weil is the Patron Saint of Anomalous Persons" describes her as estranged but not alienated, devout but not obedient, philosophical but not a systematizer. She is known for her independence of mind and resistance to ideological conformity. Inasmuch as her thought was shaped by her struggles with chronic illness and her sense of being a perpetual outsider, not to mention her fluency in ancient Greek by the age of 12, I find her to be a kindred spirit. I wish I could ask her what she thinks about our present-day situation. I can only do so indirectly through the synthesis of her ideas with my own. In the introduction to Gravity and Grace, she writes to the friend to whom she entrusted her notebooks, "You tell me that in my notebooks you have found, besides things which you yourself had thought, others which you had not thought, but for which you were waiting. So now they belong to you, and I hope that after having been transmuted within you, they will one day come out in one of your works." She died of heart failure in 1943 at the age of 34 while working for the resistance Free France government in London, refusing to eat more than the citizens' rations of her German-occupied France. The Need for Roots is a document she wrote shortly before her death, commissioned by the Free France government to outline a plan for the renewal of Europe after the scourge of Nazism. Her central metaphor is that of rootedness and uprootedness. She writes, "To be rooted is perhaps the most important and least recognized need of the human soul. It is one of the hardest to define. A human being has roots by virtue of his real, active, and natural participation in the life of a community, which preserves in living shape certain particular treasures of the past and certain particular expectations for the future. Uprootedness occurs whenever there is a military conquest. It reaches its most acute stage when there are deportations on a massive scale, or where there is any brutal suppression of all local traditions. Even without a military conquest, money, power, and economic domination can so impose a foreign influence as actually to provoke this disease of uprootedness. For people who are really uprooted, there remain only two possible sorts of behavior: either to fall into a spiritual lethargy resembling death, or to hurl themselves into some form of activity necessarily designed to uproot, often by the most violent methods, those who are not yet uprooted or only partly so. Whoever is uprooted himself uproots others. Whoever is rooted doesn't uproot others." Our society today is characterized by almost total uprootedness. Our president and his followers represent this uprootedness that seeks by violent means to uproot others. And all those who fail to speak against him, whether from a lack of moral backbone or from sheer exhaustion and disillusionment, these represent the uprootedness that manifests as spiritual lethargy. Both varieties of uprootedness can be attributed to the domination of money power, by which our society has both prospered and sickened, and which now finds its ultimate personification in our current government. Weil continues, "Money destroys human roots wherever it is able to penetrate by turning desire for gain into the sole motive. It easily manages to outweigh all other motives because the effort it demands of the mind is so very much less." If we are to help one another take root, we will need more than a simple redistribution of wealth. In order for such a redistribution to succeed in deepening our roots, we must first deepen our understanding of the effects of money power and critically examine our own relationship to money. Only then can we disentangle ourselves from the paradigm that has enabled the billionaires' rise to power. Money is an incredibly useful and convenient technology, but where it ceases to be a tool for facilitating action and becomes the motivating force behind action, that is where its poison sets to work. Even those of us not driven by the desire for gain feel its insidious effects in the anxiety for security. We want the people we care about to be safe and comfortable. We feel that we are motivated by love, by survival, by the desire for autonomy, not by money as an end in itself. And yet this is precisely the mechanism by which money insinuates its terrible convenience as the instrument of an economy designed to fuel our fears and desires, not, in fact, to alleviate them. And in so doing, it clouds our ability to discriminate between what is necessary, what is neither necessary nor destructive, and what is destructive, a phrase borrowed from Ursula K. Le Guin. Money may supply a certain sense of security, but in practice, its circle of effective care rarely extends far beyond an individual household. It renders superfluous the need to trust one another, and those in power profit by our lack of trust. I'm not suggesting that we abandon the use of money, but that we transform our relationship to it. Speaking as a young person with a chronic health disability, I perceive in universal basic income a resolution to the painful conflict between the obligation to earn money and the urgent claims of my body and creative spirit. But I know such a redistribution of wealth is only the beginning. The solution that is easiest to understand because it functions within the existing paradigm of money power. Within the existing paradigm, money is the only conceivable incentive to work. Thus, opponents of universal basic income and other forms of social aid would have us believe that we will fall into idleness and chaos if no longer provided with a rigid structure and compelled to earn our existence. Quite the contrary. I assert that the universal fulfillment of basic needs will infuse our social organism with a sorely absent sense of human dignity, and that freedom from the compulsory pursuit of capital will liberate incredible resources of time, energy, and creativity, just the tools we need to begin healing our humanity and our planet. But in order to effectively wield and direct these newfound resources, we must learn to recognize which tasks call forth the greatest energy and to follow where that energy leads. This is the opposite of what we're trained to do throughout our schooling and working lives, trained to ignore our body's cues to rest and to forcibly apply our energy to whatever arbitrary task is set before us. We learn to scrape by with the bare minimum of effort because our tasks, when motivated solely by money, praise, or punishment, evoke the bare minimum of energy. In Weil's words, no action is ever carried out in the absence of motives capable of supplying the indispensable amount of energy for its execution. To want to direct human creatures, others, or oneself towards the good by simply pointing out the direction without making sure the necessary motives have been provided is as if one tried by pressing down the accelerator to set off in a motor car with an empty petrol tank. We are not lazy by nature. We all need more rest, sleep, and unstructured leisure time. But equally, we crave meaningful work, and above all, the energy that is inseparable from meaningful work, an energy that cannot be supplied by rest alone. We need new paradigms of labor in which the needs of the human body, mind, and heart can take root. Weil writes, "Our age has its own particular mission, the creation of a civilization founded upon the spiritual nature of work, which would give to man the very strongest possible roots in the wide universe. Such a vocation is the only thing great enough to put before the peoples instead of the totalitarian idol. In place of her word spiritual, I might say the energizing, the creative, the human nature of work. Most of what passes as work these days fails to engage our full capacities as human beings. And as long as this remains the case, we will remain incapable of fully inhabiting our own humanity. Indeed, the imminent possibility of artificial intelligence stealing our jobs is perhaps a testament to how little of our humanness such jobs require. I perceive the rise of new technologies as an opportunity to radically reaffirm what it means to be human, to rediscover, as Wendell Berry describes, the pleasures of work, particularly embodied work. Let us seize this moment to reimagine work as the fulfillment of the human need to be useful. Our present conception of work is little more than compulsory participation in the profit machine which exists only to fuel itself, and which not only frustrates our need to be genuinely useful, but which makes our right to basic survival contingent upon our participation. Elsewhere, Weil writes, "The only way of salvation is to replace the unendurable idea of compulsion, not by the illusion of devotion, but by the notion of necessity." An exploration of necessity merits another essay all to itself. Stay tuned. At present, I leave you with a vision of a society rooted in the necessities of rest and labor alike, in which all basic needs for food, housing, and medical care are met, and in which people of all ages, abilities, and identities are fully initiated into the rhythms and needful tasks of daily life. This is how we bring the world back to life. This is how we take root. And now, please rise in body or spirit for our closing song, number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River.
We will close out today with our usual chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.